I want to talk about enablement because that's something that I think there are a lot of, in particular, tech providers talking about right now. So the
Yeah.
trending cool topic, right? Do I build an academy and I put a bunch of resources? Do I go and put frontline employees on the problem and or opportunity? So when you think about enablement holistically, do you have a methodology there? I mean, I asked that question perhaps too much, but I'm curious, like, is there a framework you're using to think about that?
It starts with a mindset and also the engagement approach back to that word. So I'll give you another example. We're going out to these consulting firms. Let's say it's a Salesforce SI. What's our engagement approach? Hey, we'd love to do an enablement session. We'd love to get an hour with your team. Let us know what verticals or industries you're focused on. We're going to share with you what we're seeing in terms of top trends, top use cases, a product demo that gives you something to react to and ask questions so that your team is equipped with what we're doing, so that as you're working with customers, maybe right now, here and now, or maybe in the future, as this is of interest to you, you know where to go to. You know how to get help. You know how to get a partner license. We're going to allow you to set up a demo org straight away if you want to. So we're leading with enablement. And what I find is that, number one, kind of gets everyone's kind of guard down, like we're here to help. And number two, it sparks all this collaboration by leading that way. So we call it a white glove approach. Of course, there's other stuff further downstream that we'll do, more through online learning or training, but it's a very individualized white glove approach that is led by use cases. And last point I'll make about this, everyone on the FormStack partner team are experts in our products. So the partner team DNA is, we know the products, we know the use cases. We're going to be able to help you. We're going to have a real conversation about how we can work together at a product level.
And that's actually worth double clicking on. So I want to go into it. When you talk about being at the level of expertise in both product, I'd imagine there's a measure of consulting around what to do with said product when you go and talk to the customer. Is that because your customer, your partner, is highly technical, or are you delivering additive value in terms of helping them to think about building out a more technical component to their actual strategy, to their business?
Yeah, it's because they are, again, more technical, relatively technical, solution oriented, and I want our partners we're working with, I want it to be a peer-to-peer conversation. We look and feel similar. We're able to help each other, and we're not gatekeepers. We're helping each other, and we're adding value with every touch point.
Yeah, that value deposit concept, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to think about that for a long time. It's such a cool idea. And it's interesting because you're talking about delivering to those partners. So does that change, for example, like when you engage with a partner in the dynamic you're describing, you show up and you say, hey, we want to show you what we do well, how we help folks like you really deliver that value package, if you will, to them. Make your first deposit, to use your analogy. Yep. Did they immediately, are they surprised by it? Is that, unexpected?
There is some, I call it like retraining needed at times, meaning like it is sometimes unexpected. Sometimes we're talking in ways that like they're not used to. And another example is like around that. Oh, you have a possible project. You don't have to direct your customer, to our website to, I call, like, fend for yourselves and kind of figure out FormStack. Like, loop us in. We're here to help. We'll jump on a Zoom call same day, answer any questions you have. You want to make an introduction, we'll pair you with an account executive who's always the same person that you're able to introduce customers to. And we're going to center our account assignments around you, the partner, not any other kind of logic. So making it very partner-centric, very hands-on, very white glove, and kind of breaking down what I say have been the traditional barriers between consulting firms and software companies. Most consulting firms don't expect that. They're not used to that. They're used to working through convoluted websites and convoluted, lead routing structures. And man, don't even talk about support, where, that traditionally is like a really hard thing to get, support from software companies. So we've kind of broken down those walls, and there is, to your question, an element of like kind of retraining or rethinking how these groups work together.
Yeah, because you talked about it being roughly 3 years in or so right now. It sounds like you're in some ways pioneering this concept of value first, and that I've talked to other leaders that have said some of what you shared in terms of when we think about the dynamic between our resources and our partner, we want to be very aligned, very consistent, very intentional. What you're describing is doing all of that before they give you anything, that's a whole new, I haven't heard that before in any of my conversations. That's interesting.
And a couple comments there. Why can we do that? We can do that because we're very tight on the persona. We know the type of business that if we spend time with them, it's going to result, again, 99% of the time into the right joint business outcome. So I think that's a huge part of it. And it took me like 6 months to get there, because FormStack grew through acquisitions. There was lots of different sort of things that were part of kind of the program we started. And within 6 months, we realized, okay, that's the group. It's this consultant, this SI, this high value interaction. And if we spend time there, that's going to be positive. So to do that model that I've described, you need to be really tight on the target audience. And what I found is resonating so well in describing this. It's, that like partner program, partner tiers kind of graphic that everybody has. And it's like bronze, silver, gold. And I would say like, well, what's backwards about that? Most companies tier off their, premium support or expertise to, our gold partners. And my thinking is, well, how is anyone ever going to be successful if you don't help them at the beginning? That's when they need the most help. I actually borrowed something from you guys, and we haven't talked about this, but what is inbound marketing? Inbound marketing started with ungated content. That was a big breakthrough from HubSpot, was ungated content. Share content, make it accessible, allow people to discover it. So I've said our partner team, ungated expertise. We're not gonna gate our expertise to certain revenue levels you have to reach. We're going to help you right from the beginning. And it goes back to the whole team understanding products, understanding verticals, understanding use cases. The first conversation you have with us is going to be high value, and it's going to lead to good joint benefits to both of us. And again, why is that possible? Because we're talking to someone who we know we can help.
Yeah, the ungated expertise comment is just absolute gold. I can tell you, I've been with HubSpot for almost 8 years now. I started in the channel team as an account manager, right, and leading some of our partners. And I was shocked and certainly impressed for that sake around the expertise of my peers, listening to them on calls, consulting these businesses, whether they were an SMB marketing agency or somebody significantly larger, on how to build a revenue stream that, now we're looking at 8-ish years later, they're multi-million-dollar revenue streams, tens of millions of dollars in terms of total revenue for these businesses, because of the impact that early value-centric conversation, to your point, around giving expertise before asking for anything. I mean, it's brilliant. We're completely aligned there. This has been awesome, man. I've really enjoyed our conversation, Zach. I've truly enjoyed your kind of little tidbits. There's one question I love to ask here at the end that, may or may not be interesting, but I want to hear your response. So what's one thing over the last couple weeks, months, years, whatever timeline you'd like, that the business did, that the industry did, that surprised you, that perhaps maybe you were caught off guard by, or maybe not impressed initially by, but then later on felt good about?
Man, the business, so my business or the industry, something that surprised me. Oh man, Barrett,
I stumped you.
You're stumping me here. Yeah.
Is it the turn? So one of the things that I've seen coming up, more and more is the idea of turning away from. It's actually what you're describing here in terms of turning away from the idea that we'll just help everyone. We'll get much more persona specific. We'll get much more siloed in the way that we deliver value. I've talked to leaders that want to cut up their business, make it a bunch of little pieces. Others that say one size fits all. That's been one of the common themes I've heard.
Yeah. Man, you've stumped me here.
How about this? Let's shift it towards what's the most important lesson that you've learned over the last 3 years of growing this thing, because it's been a great success, and I want to call that out.
It takes hard work. I'll say that. What I've described, there's a ton of work that goes into it every day with partners. There's a ton of work that goes into tracking it all, because something that I always thought about partner motions, like you have to, it's all about business case. Like you have to be able to constantly prove out that business case. So we're also relentless about the tracking, the attribution, our partners logging referrals. Are we finding out, making sure that if there was ever kind of like, let's call it a word of mouth recommendation, that we're connecting those dots, that we're, tying that back to the partner team and the work that we did on the upfront to drive that customer referral to our website, or to our chatbot on the website. So it's just been relentless. It takes a lot of work. It's very rewarding. So I think you need to build a team with the right mindset that, like, we're going to put in the work. There's this kind of bigger mission that we're driving towards, and that's how we focus building the team. So there's been just certain like recruiting and hiring practices that we've done, and we've done a nice job, like as we've grown, of really getting that profile of person that like has the hunger, has the work ethic, believes in the mission, and is helping us get better, every step of the way.
That's awesome. It's actually really good insight. I'm hearing you say you fell in love with the problem. You've built some other relationships and folks around that, a team around that also really cares about the partner, about solving the problems, about delivering value. It's absolutely brilliant. Look, again, Zach, it's been awesome today. It's great hanging out with you and getting some insight. If folks want to connect with you on social media, where do they find you?
Well, based on current news, I'm not going to say Twitter, but I'll say look me up on LinkedIn. Zach is just very simple, ZAK, Zak Pines. Mention Barrett's podcast. Send a personal connect invite and mention Barrett's podcast, so I know where you found me. And would love to talk partnerships. Look, partner team at FormStack is growing. Expect to be growing over time. So also always looking to meet great people in the industry.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, thanks again, Zach. Everyone, this has been Partnerships in SaaS. We'll see you next time.